What's going on, Internet? I'm Christopher Peterson. You're listening to Nerd EXP Cinecast. This week I'm hanging out with Drew.
Hey.
And Guillermo.
Yay, I'm here.
If this is your first time, you're in for a treat. If you're coming back, thanks. We appreciate it. Each week we go through the top news headlines and help you level up your movie IQ. As always, listeners come first and have a question from I am Bill McNeil on Twitter. He asks, what's the most iconic scene in cinema? His submission, which kind of led this question, was the twin sunsets on Tatooine when Luke is looking, and kind of you have that score playing.
It would have been nice if you would have revealed that before, I came up with this. Because I agree. That's one of those shots that I think established that movie from the get-go. I mean, the one thing that I had actually with
we're going to get a copyright strike for that.
No, we stopped him. We stopped it. I think you got to do 17 seconds. So he stopped at 16. No, I agree with that. Being that, but then I also have a problem with it. We talk about cinema. I don't think everybody that's not a worldwide thing.
Sure.
So,
are you kidding me? It was the first worldwide thing.
Right. But I'm saying if I show that to the total regular person on the street, I don't think they'll know. No idea what this is.
I think you're wrong about that.
That's not. But I did have one as my most iconic, Titanic. The whole scene with "I'm the king of the world," well, it was not the king of the world, but the whole shot of them on the front of the ship with the arms out. I think forever, that's a thing that if somebody's in front of a ship, everyone wants to imitate that shot.
Yeah. So
that was my submission for iconic. By no the most iconic, but that's a highlight for me.
I agree with a lot of Guillermo's analysis of the question, which I'm sure Bill's screaming that we're butchering. I do enjoy that scene on Tatooine. It shows Luke about to go off on his adventure and his journey. That's not the most iconic scene in cinema because, like you said, I don't know if everybody would instantly recognize it. And I don't even know if that's the most iconic scene in Star Wars.
Well, that begs the question: what would be the most iconic scene of Star Wars?
I think that's definitely the most iconic of Star Wars.
I think that might be, yeah.
You don't think just the Death Star run or the Death Star blowing up?
I'll give you the most iconic shot of Star Wars. It's the opening credits.
That's
forever. That scroll.
You're right.
Show anything in yellow text scrolling at
That's true.
Sure. No, you got it. You nailed it. But for me, the most iconic scene, kind of taking that man on the street, everybody would recognize or know, even if you've never seen the movie. I went to Psycho, and that the knife and the shower scene, and that's people who don't know that movie still know that scene and know you've seen it satired and used so many places, and it is just kind of one of those defining moments of cinema and just camera angles and special effects at the time, and just very a perfect representation of Hitchcockian and kind of a director, the master of his craft. So that was my thought. That might not be the correct answer, but it's what I came up with.
That's a good one. I think I agree with that.
I would. I didn't put that much thought into this really, but I was thinking what came first to my mind. Excuse me, was from Jaws of Brody chucking the chum into the water when the shark comes up behind him. For me, I thought that was really iconic. Definitely the most iconic from Jaws. Either that or him on the beach with the camera zooming in on him when he first sees the shark.
That is a pretty iconic one.
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Another one that stuck out in my mind, though, was Rafiki holding up Simba in The Lion King.
Holy crap, that is... I mean, animated...
That's probably the biggest one of our generation, maybe.
Disney animated movies, I think they hold quite a few iconic shots. I mean, Aladdin, there's the...
Beauty and the Beast on the dance floor.
Yep, just... They have a lot. I think they work it into their movies for that. What's our one shot, Toy Story, there's the flying at the end,
Whoa, spoilers.
Flying at the end.
He's falling with style.
Oh,
that's a spoiler.
That's a spoiler. So, yeah, I think Disney locks it. But I guess I'll expand on that question. In the last 5 years, can you guys think of any one of those shots?
in the last 5 years.
Like
So
any
we're going
movies
back
in the last
To 2010.
2010.
So all Avengers are fair play.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I immediately thought of, like, the Avengers that
superhero
camera
craze.
spiral. Like, when you have the team shot or Hulk hitting, like, I'm always angry. Like, that's...
And I think so too. I mean, that's I guess why I asked the question on the latest Avengers. The Age of Ultron. I think that opening sequence with all of the Avengers attacking in that snow, like that was a beautiful shot. I don't know if we'll see. I guess years down the road whether that is the most iconic, but something that
Definitely the best from Marvel, I think.
Does the Inception sound count?
Everything I can think of is a movie poster.
I can already think of like an iconic scene, like on a trailer. I mean, Chewie, I'm home. Like just that scene forever. Even if the movie just doesn't make anything, like that shot right there forever. I think will be the two sons, or the two sons of our generation. For Star Wars, at least.
So, thank you for that question, Bill. If you're out there listening and you have a question for us, hit us up on Twitter or email us at chris@nerdyxp.com, and you can join the conversation. Moving on to headlines, this past weekend box office. We don't go through the weekend box office every week, but just wanted to call out that Ant-Man retained its number one spot barely with, hold on a second, sorry.
Less than 1 million.
24.76 million versus Pixels debuting at number 2 with 24 million. It also did about 25 overseas, so Pixels, overseas will probably help redeem it. But I mean, right now, domestically, a commercial and critical flop. The fact that Ant-Man is one of the weakest Marvel movies to come out since Captain America: First Avenger.
The weakest financially, for sure.
That was able to retain that number one. That's a little feather in their cap for them.
Thanks for sucking, Pixels.
It's crazy going to this Pixels deal. Like,
did you watch it?
I didn't, and then that's I think if we go back a couple episodes, I said like this might be the surprise. But the more I saw of this and how heavily how negative the reviews were for the majority of these, that came out for Pixels, it just kept me away from the movie theaters. I still want to see it. I think I'll still watch it. But yeah, it just negated everything. From one of the worst, or one of the most influential reviews that I read actually was, they said you saw everything in the trailer. And we've been talking about, like how people are just showing everything in the trailers, like as far as the highlights. And that's exactly what they said. That you saw everything in the trailers. So the other thing that I want to bring out is everyone is blaming this on Adam Sandler. Like this is another, Adam Sandler's done in Hollywood. He cannot pull a movie together anymore. I want to share some of that blame to the director. Christopher Columbus, the director, has not had a hit since Harry Potter. He's tried, but I think that's to me that's the shame. Not
He
Adam
hasn't
Sandler.
done too much though. Percy Jackson is the only one I can think of.
Right, but that's where I was going. They haven't been terrible, but they just been forgotten. And you look at his track record. He's had a bunch of iconic movies.
I thought this about Pixels, not to pick on it too much.
Did you see it?
No.
Okay.
But for the trailer, I thought this looks like that episode of Futurama, and so many of the reviews said the same thing.
Oh, yeah?
This is a plotline to an episode of Futurama where Fry has to get his Rush Mixie D to bottle Mountain Dew to fight alien video games.
Nice.
You got to keep in mind that this was
Instead
actually
of Rush, it sticks in this one.
and then this was inspired by a 2-minute short, and they said that's probably all this movie could have lived, 2 minutes. So,
kind of sticking with Ant-Man, we've found out Michael Douglas is not signed on for any future Marvel movies, which that's not to say he's not going to do anymore, but it's kind of surprising because I think Michael Douglas was a great aspect of Ant-Man. And it's also surprising because Marvel / Disney normally gets these kids on lockdown. and just forces them into 3, 6, 9 picture deals. So I don't know if there's really anything.
Well, the thing is there even going to be is there even going to be another Ant-Man 2? I mean, that's the whole deal. It's not on the plans, so it doesn't surprise me at all.
I don't know. It's just the lowest grossing opening for a Marvel movie, and
yeah, but think about this movie.
They just want the character. They don't need another Ant-Man movie.
Yeah, and think about, and I didn't know this when we were reviewing it, and me being a Hispanic, this movie's getting a lot of negative press in the Hispanic world because of the Michael Pena character.
Yeah.
I didn't take any offense to it. I'm like, this is a great character. He was funny. He's a stereotype, absolutely. But by no shape, way, or form, as a Hispanic, I saw myself in that character, identified by that character. I see myself identified with plenty of the other characters more than the only guy because he was Hispanic.
Do you see yourself identified by the villain?
No.
Okay. Well, you were just
no villains.
You were hesitant to say the character, so I didn't know if you were.
No. I mean,
if you're like, you know what, this Yellow Jacket has a good idea.
The Yellow Jacket. No. In that movie, I think I see myself as the smart guy. With Scott Lang. So,
yeah.
It was the hero of the movie, so it was just interesting. I completely missed it, and that's negative.
Is there anything really stereotypical about him other than the way he talks, though?
What about his horn?
The fact that he's in jail, that
But Scott wasn't. I mean, like,
there was every race in jail.
Yeah.
Maybe not Asian. I don't know. I didn't catch any Asians.
They were in like San Francisco, and we didn't see that many.
Well, I mean, clearly this movie is racist and terrible and horrible.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know. People see what they want to see. You're right. You came from Hispanic culture. You watched the movie. You never mentioned it once in our conversations with it because you weren't looking to be offended.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that you have to look to be offended. There is some stuff that comes across offensive, and maybe you did see something if you're out there and you're Hispanic and that didn't resonate with you. But I don't know. I mean, sometimes I do think that you have to be predisposed, and you do have to take it at face value. And he wasn't wearing a sombrero and running around going "ay caramba." Like he wasn't like being like this caricature of
But even if he was, I would not. I mean, this is a Marvel movie based on comic books, so by no way or shape or form am I gonna treat this serious. Even if they completely were making a super stereotypical, and they threw it in your face, man, which leads me to believe, I cannot even wait for Deadpool. How many people are going to be pissed off with that movie? Because, I mean, you got to remember, his car is a chimichanga truck. That is Deadpool's vehicle of choice. That's going to piss off a lot of people. Because not many, I don't know. It's just, I guess, where it's going.
Deadpool loves tacos.
Yes, he does.
But I mean, you're right. And there's a Russian. I mean, how stereotypical is Colossus going to be, and how offensive, and what crazy things is Deadpool going to say to him? And that, I mean, it's a line to walk. I mean, and people, like I said, I don't know. I think people do look to be offended.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because Kevin Feige did say that if he can bring back one of the supporting characters from all his universe movies, he would like to have Michael Pena back.
It was funny.
Absolutely. His character was funny.
Staying with Ant-Man, the stinger for Ant-Man. So spoilers if you are sensitive about Ant-Man or haven't seen it, or the stinger. This isn't actually a spoiler for Ant-Man, but it is a spoiler for the next Marvel movie, Captain America: Civil War, that's coming out. So skip ahead a couple minutes. Guillermo.
So we talked about it last week with our with our review of the movie. The second stinger, so the one that we see the Winter Soldier come back. The story that was revealed, I guess, the week after Ant-Man came out, Peyton Reed, the director of the movie, came out and said that scene was actually added very late in the process during post-production of the movie already. And he did not shoot that, he did not directed that. It was actually the Russo brothers.
Yeah, I thought that was obvious.
You thought, yeah, it definitely.
Visually.
I mean, so with Captain America, Winter Soldier, that was the first time that actually Joss Whedon directed the stinger there. which was when we saw the twins.
No, Captain America. Sorry, to be
First
nitpicky. First Avenger had scenes from Avengers, like all of that.
Okay.
And Cap was at the punching bag, and then
No, but the second one though, that was directed. That was made for that movie. But the second one, Winter
That scene
Soldier,
was in Avengers.
that scene was in Avengers.
Oh, that was from Avengers. What was the singer in Winter Soldier?
The twins.
It was.
You're right.
You're right about
Yeah.
that.
Okay, that's
We're
what
just
I'm
saying
saying.
it's not the first.
It's the first time that it was directed by somebody else. Josh Whedon did not direct the stinger for.
You're not hearing us though. The scene at the end of the first Avenger
Yes,
is from Avengers, so therefore it would have to be directed by Joss Whedon.
It was not. It was not directed. That scene was directed by the guy who directed the first Captain America.
You're wrong.
I don't.
No,
I'm leveling up your game IQ.
I'm leveling you guys.
Move IQ. Whatever show this is.
I'm so busy.
No, it's on record. We can Google it. Joss Whedon directed the scene for the stinger of Captain America: The First Avenger. It's 2-1. You're in America, democracy.
Dang it! All right, I'll give in. I'll challenge you Norris to go ahead and prove
Mexico, Michael.
Definitely tell us if we're wrong. If you're out there listening and screaming.
The point is, it was directed by the Russo brothers, and it was actually a scene from the dailies that was from the Civil War movie. So that was, I guess, the big news behind it is that it was actually a scene from Civil War. So
Yeah.
that's where I was going with that.
I assumed that myself.
It makes sense because it's so weird. There's no context. It just kind of pops in here for it to be a planned stinger. Because I remember watching that scene. I can't remember if I said this last week. I was like, they already captured him. Like that was fucking fast.
Yeah.
Like, I figured that would be either a big plotline in Civil War, or maybe even continue to like Infinity War or something, and he would kind of always be out there.
I honestly thought that they were gonna they were gonna let that character live within the TV universe of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, I thought that was where, and maybe it is gonna be like that. Yeah, let the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. look for Bucky. And then, because, I mean, we already had the crossover, and the Falcon, so far, he's not a big character. Anthony Mackie would be the guy to move over to a TV show for one episode at the end, So, that's just my prediction of where I think they're going. And maybe that's, I think, how we're saying too quick. Well, I think that's where they're going with the TV show.
All right. If you put us on mute, you can unmute us now.
Unmute alert.
So I guess staying with superhero movies, Hugh Jackman tweeted out a picture just kind of formally acknowledging that this is his last Wolverine movie. This has been very much in the works and the talks and rumors, but he said that it's been 16 years, it's been a wild ride, and he's ready to put the character to rest.
He's old. He has
to be on some sort of horse steroids. He's more jacked than he ever has been in his life, despite the fact that he's 16 years older. I mean, I don't know how old he is off the top of my head, but he's in his 50s. So, I mean, like,
I think he's around 50.
Yeah.
So he's definitely up there, but he's still, like, I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley.
No.
Even though he's the nicest guy in the world. Maybe I do.
He'll be like, hey!
Do you want me to sing you a song? So, I mean, I think it's just cool fan service, and he said he would try and read as many as he can. I've seen him respond to people.
Oh, yeah?
He did a Vine, like, saying, like, he's just overwhelmed with the sport. So, just mini PSA.
Yeah, and I guess, with the next couple of topics, maybe it's been that's really all that the studios are giving us is pictures through Twitter. So if you don't have a Twitter account and you want to follow a lot of this stuff, it's generated through Twitter by the actors, the directors. So we get to see that teaser poster, which is Wolverine with one claw, metallic claw.
The middle claw.
So
I think that was just for symmetry. Like, I don't think he was doing it to flip.
Oh, he's definitely doing it.
I don't think it's necessarily a flip at anyone, but I think it's just part of the character.
Yeah.
He's done that in the movies before.
Yeah. He's
definitely supposed to be a middle finger.
I think so.
But it's not directed at anyone.
Yeah.
Just a generic middle finger?
Yeah.
Generic middle claw, which is metal. This is the only thing to note. The claw is metal. That's the only thing to note. It's of importance to me. It's metal. But then going to the other picture, something else that we got pictures of was the X-Men Apocalypse. Bryan Singer is another one of those the people through Twitter that have been feeding us a lot of set photos, character
Instagram.
Photos. Right. I mean, it is Instagram because everything is hosted there, but they get coverage through those social media, which is interesting. I mean, this is how it's been done.
I mean, we're doing their job for them.
Yeah.
And we're willfully doing it. And we gladly get together every week, and you listen, hopefully. So I mean, like, it's working, and it makes sense.
Yeah. That keeps the hype going, even if it's just a picture.
Did you see Bryan Singer Instagrammed a photo of Patrick Stewart on the set of Apocalypse?
I did.
Yes, and everybody freaked out.
Yeah.
They said he's not in the movie.
Right.
They did.
I don't know if they're just
on
pulling
record.
And he
pulling
wasn't
a
in
con.
costume or anything.
He was not. He was visiting with somebody else who was also not in the movie with Jason Schwartzman.
No,
maybe,
Reitman.
Reitman
was there.
Reitman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Jason Reitman. Yeah.
They were doing a live reading for Pulp Fiction or something.
No,
or
for
whatever.
okay.
In New York, whatever.
It was
Where
a Big
X-Men was
Lebowski.
filming. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it was a Big Lebowski. So, anyways, yeah, interesting that I wouldn't be surprised to see him now. To see him take over the Xavier at the end. What,
like time jump, or
I don't know,
or at the end of it, he's just like, oh, that apocalypse battle aged me. I am so tired now.
What if they bring him as a different character?
No way.
Like maybe he becomes a cameo, somebody that's just rolling
This
through.
isn't Ghostbusters.
And not with their weird canon that they've established. Like, he would have to play some sort of Xavier alternative future. Like, I don't know.
Past.
I don't know. I could maybe Xavier sees the future, or some mutant sees the future and sees that Xavier's weeping and failed, and so that gives him the inspiration to
sees that Patrick Stewart or Xavier is watching the movie, watching the movie being filmed.
He'll get a special thanks in the credits.
Staying on Bryan Singer, he kind of mentioned that the Fantastic Four, he was asked about it.
Yeah.
He didn't outright say no, which is just maybe he's great at PR. But he said this is a quote: those ideas are in play. That would be a natural matchup because they're both ensemble films, and there's a natural mechanism by which to do it. I don't know. I mean, natural mechanism. Fantastic Four has some sort of
then he goes
space manipulation.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, maybe there's a Fantastic Four universe, there's an X-Men universe, and then the Fantastic Four breach over.
I mean, we'll find out in a couple of weeks with
That would be
Fantastic
so
Four.
comic booky.
Yeah.
More so than fucking phasing Kitty Pryde learning how to time travel. People bought that, which I was surprised.
Doesn't he also in the same interview goes on and says, like, I'm still working on developing that? Like, he took ownership that he is the one that's championing.
I don't know. I think Simon Kinberg is the whole Fox Godfather. I don't know if Bryan Singer
Simon Kinberg is pulling out of that universe more and more.
Star Wars.
Because of Star Wars, right? He is a creative, director or creative mind now behind Star Wars. So,
I mean, you could be right. The article that I have pulled up says, when asked about his vision for how the crossover might play out, Singer added, it deals with time. That's all I'm going to say. This does say, when asked about his vision, which does not necessarily indicate a studio-designated ownership or that he will play it out.
You think Apocalypse will be his last X-Men film?
No, I think Singer cannot do any other movie superhero. He proved that. And he needs to stay with this. He knows how to direct these movies with big ensembles. He knows how to treat the characters as they need to be treated with the amount of time that they need to be on. So, no, he needs to continue. And I think if Fox is going to take a chance with anybody, I mean, let's think about it. It's either Josh Trank or Bryan Singer. I don't think Josh Trank gets anything.
You're not wrong. About Bryan Singer. Like, Jack the Giant Slayer, like I saw that, it was not good. Usual Suspects was good, but that was another
Anything before X-Men
ensemble cast
is noteworthy, but it's not much before X-Men.
But I mean,
Apt Pupil is really good.
Yeah, but I think
it's because Ian McKellen has to be in the movie, and then
X3 we saw what the Marvel or what X-Men without Bryan Singer looks like. I don't want to see that again.
I liked First Class.
I didn't.
He did it. Yeah, no,
that's Edgar's. I can't remember the number, but that's Edgar's 5th favorite movie. Maybe. He walked out of the theater and he was like, "That's one of my top 5."
I like that. I absolutely think
he does not hold that
because it was new characters. I think that's why that movie worked, or new take on characters.
Oh shit!
So
better than X-Men 3.
Yes, established.
Backing up, this would be great if we edited more. Edgar isn't here this week, but he did answer the question for most iconic shots.
Oh, yeah.
Reservoir Dogs, which is a great answer. I mean, that scene with them walking is very well known and again, satired and kind of saturated throughout.
What's playing in the background during that walking scene? I could have
follow Edgar Rexon.
I could have sworn it's Hooked on a Feeling when they're walking.
No?
Maybe in the trailer. Maybe the trailer for that movie had Hooked on a Feeling with them walking. Like, Hooked on a Feeling is on that soundtrack for sure. But I'm not exactly sure where
Ooga Chaka is. They play the beginning, the Ooga Chaka.
Well, that's Hooked on a Feeling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not in the walking scene, but it's in the...
It's in there? I haven't seen Reservoir in a little bit, so I don't know. Or I don't recall.
He also had a second answer, Edgar did. He mentioned the Star Child scene from...
Yeah, that was a worse answer, so I skipped over it.
What are you talking about? That is iconic.
Are the monkeys more iconic?
No. So.
What monkeys? Exactly.
You could do the whole bone being thrown up in the air. That's really iconic.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of iconic shots in cinema. We all just repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
Moving on, Jurassic World is getting a sequel. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are already attached. No huge surprise.
No Colin Trevorrow.
Not as a director.
Jurassic World is officially the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time.
Wow.
So,
not adjusting for inflation.
Well, yes, not adjusting for inflation. I mean, do we have to say that forever?
I do.
Okay.
Because if you adjust for inflation, Jurassic Park made more money, and that's how it should be.
If you adjust for inflation, Gone with the Wind is going to be the undisputed...
Until Star Wars.
I'd rather Gone with the Wind be undisputed over Avatar.
No way. Even after inflation.
You think The Force Awakens is not going to break that top 5 with inflation?
No. Because, I mean, the value... It has more to do with the value of $1 than it does ticket sales. Like, Gone with the Wind cost... I can't remember, 10 cents.
But I think Gone with the Wind, they do it by ticket. Like, I think Gone with the Wind is at the top with ticket sales and money converted to, like value of the dollar.
And that's what adjusting for inflation does. It counts ticket sales.
Tickets, right? That's what I thought. Okay.
But today it's more difficult because of 3D and IMAX surcharges.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's.
And I'm sure. I don't know.
No surprise though. Going back to the Jurassic World being confirmed, no surprise. I'm glad. That's a movie.
As of right now, I mean, I guess I need to see what they do. As of right now, I don't want to see a sequel. Like, I don't know how they could do it.
I would want to see it again. I think it was an enjoyable movie. It was an enjoyable movie, and I think they'll continue doing it. They didn't mess it up.
They should go.
No, I'm fine with this movie. I'm just saying, like, I don't know where they're going to go with it.
They should go to the Lost World. They should just redo the trilogy.
The Lost Jurassic World.
I mean, kind of revisiting
the Lost World.
What Jurassic we kind of
maybe a kid got left behind on the island and they have to go save him.
A gymnastic kid.
What we kind of touched on already in all of our previous podcasts with setting up the monster universe of Universal.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe that is the crossover. It's going to be...
But a Jurassic World sequel isn't necessarily going to be that.
Yeah, but it could be a sequel that they go... all the dinosaurs get moved into this island that's abandoned in
maybe
Africa,
the whole movie is
Skull Island.
The whole movie is them having to round up dinosaurs that escaped, like all the pterodactyls that flew away. And then in the end, they end up on this island.
No, they got to bring everybody to Skull Island.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No,
island.
Yeah.
Engine killed the pterodactyls. They established that.
one of them.
But that's symbolic of all the pterodactyls they killed.
That they were just shooting them off the
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah.
What about the pterodactyls from Jurassic Park 3? Where did they
What
end up?
happened to those?
Beats me.
I know.
The last shot of The Lost World had a pterodactyl, landing on a branch.
If you go back to the first Jurassic Park, they did say that the dinosaurs had an enzyme that whenever they would go far away, they wouldn't be able
the
to.
lysine contingency.
Yes, so they couldn't produce it.
They had to activate it though.
Yes.
It wasn't just from getting outside perimeter.
Agreed. But all seriousness aside, Jurassic World 2 is engine, makes some crazy dinosaurs, and then some other company or organization or government goes, we don't know how to fight dinosaurs. And they go, but we have a former military guy who happened to train them. And so he and his fiance, whatever, he called back into action and have to round up a ragtag team of misfits and scientists.
Does Beta come back? That has not been confirmed.
Walter White from Godzilla. Did he live? I don't remember.
No. We don't see him die, but we do see the place where he was explode. So maybe
he's going to come out all radioactive and shit.
Oh man, Hollow Man, bam!
Nobody likes Hollow Man.
Well, apparently Bryan Cranston does.
Any other thoughts on Jurassic World?
Sorry, knowers.
All right. One thing I wanted to call out, because I've seen this get a lot of rounds. One of my friends, I Shot Your Face on my IGN, wrote a blog post about this, and I've seen other people. I don't know who originated this or where it came from, but it seems to have permeated all of geekdom. Is a potential theory for the Joker in Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. I don't agree with this theory. I don't think Warner Brothers, quite frankly, has the balls to do this theory because it's so wackadoo. But if you're really sensitive to spoilers, skip ahead. Sorry for all the skips this episode. But the theory is that Joker, who we see, Jared Leto, is actually Jason Todd, the second Robin, maybe the first Robin in this continuity. And that Joker, the first...
The joke's on you.
Took Jason Todd, and instead of killing him, which is what happened in comic book continuity, he just beat the crap out of him and brain damaged him and warped him into his own twisted version. And that's why Jared Leto, age-wise, is very close to Ben Affleck. I think they're like 1 year apart. So, like... in theory, that doesn't necessarily hold up, but like could be like
he looks a lot younger though.
He does look a lot younger. You have the joke's on you.
That explains the tattoos because the real Joker would never do that.
Right. So you would have like this more crazier Joker. The fold out of you let your family die. In the Batman v Superman trailer, then the theory is that Joker sent that. In normal, air quote, comic book continuity, Joker doesn't know who Batman is. He doesn't care who Batman is. So who actually sent that? Jason Todd knows who Batman is.
I think it was Alfred.
I mean, you could say it on the internet and people start running with it.
Right.
Joker has a J underneath his eye. So they're like, oh, it's for Jason instead of
Joker.
So just a lot of like random speculation.
I think he's going to have multiple personalities. Two-Face Joker.
So I guess the only thing, it sounds great, and then to me that sounds like, oh man, like Chris said, they don't have the balls to pull it off. But if they did, like, man, this would be a pretty good, like, holy crap,
I think what they don't have the balls to do is redo Joker, so they're copping out and making him somebody else.
That might be right too.
Oh, and there's another.
If this pans out, of course.
I can't remember exactly what Ben Affleck says, but he says like something along the lines in Batman v Superman of like, there are no good guys left in Gotham, or we know what happened to the good guys.
Yeah.
So that's another, like, people are trying to twist into saying like, oh, there's no good guys left because his protege got jacked up.
Maybe. I honestly, we'll see what happens.
And this has never happened in the comics.
But
Joker has always been Joker.
Yes.
This is the only thing that I would say. If again, there's a couple of people that do the whole scoops and read scripts ahead of time and get things like break the news, and quite a few of those sources who claim that they've read the script and they know where they're going with this have said no, this is not true. So I believe them. So that's the only thing that I have to go by.
I like it.
I kind of like it, and not at the same time, which is weird.
The thing about it, I mean, I guess in Batman vs Superman they would have time to set it up, and even Suicide Squad. But like for me, as never having read a Batman comic book, it wouldn't mean a damn thing to me.
Sure,
like it's like watching Star Trek Into Darkness and be like, who's Khan? If you've never seen Wrath of Khan, like why is that a big deal that he's Khan? So like why is it a big deal? Joker is Jason Todd. Who the fuck is Jason Todd? But,
No, that's a great point.
They're really going to have to do some setting up to pull that off with mass audiences.
The Killing Joke is getting released.
Yeah, I mean, Killing Joke's getting released. We talked about last week. Definitely check it out in graphic novel or when this does eventually come out. Mark Hamill, all but confirmed as doing the voice, so that's great news. I hope Kevin Conroy also gets cast.
Yes.
I think I said it in the last episode, but I'll repeat it just in case. I think this could get a theatrical release if it had, Mark Hamill and
like a one day.
No, not a one day. I'm talking like Mask of the Phantasm, that theatrical release. Kevin Conroy. That's nice. If we got Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy,
yeah, I think so. It would be cheap to make too.
I could see it happening, except for the fact that I wonder if Warner Brothers would be scared it would draw away from their live action stuff. Kind of that serving two masters.
I mean, Sony's doing an animated Spider-Man, which is kind of weird.
Are they still?
Is that still alive though?
I think so.
Okay. No, I don't know if that's still alive.
I thought that was pre-Marvel.
Yeah.
No, that was after the whole Marvel thing.
All right,
because was it
Democracy 2 against 1?
Russo?
Yeah. Nope, you're wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know actually.
I'm gonna go out and say that I read recently when they were talking about when they first announced the writers or whatever for Spider-Man that they're still doing the animated movie.
There's this. I mean, it's still Disney behind it.
It's Russo brothers, right?
No.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Yes.
Writing. No, they couldn't be doing both.
No, they're not doing. They're doing Han Solo.
That's who they're doing. Han Solo. So John Francis Daly
is doing Spider-Man,
and somebody else. I apologize.
From Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 and Vacation.
And John Francis Daly, he's actually an actor as well. Like he's on Bones. He was on Freaks and Geeks. He's been in a lot of Waiting. He's been in a lot of stuff. So you might actually recognize his work.
I wish I had my phone on me. I would look this up.
Joker, Jason Todd. One thing that, whether it's right or wrong, and this is maybe a more meta question, but like how does stuff like this permeate? Like, did just one person and then somebody stole it, and somebody stole it, and somebody stole it? Did everybody kind of come to the same conclusion? Because I saw this like on multiple sites, like all across, like everybody freaking out. Is it just one 4chan article that then everybody starts to copy as their own idea?
That's how the internet works. Yeah, I mean, basically, it was.
Was it an Ivan Ooze moment though, when we all looked at it at the same time and said, "That's Ivan Ooze." Apocalypse last week.
Everybody, since they're using that storyline with the Dark Knight Returns, Jason Todd has always been a subject of stuff.
Is he referenced in Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As being dead.
Yeah. Okay.
As the suit. I mean, the suit is there.
Yeah.
And I already think we have a Robin in this Batman v Superman universe, and it will be dressed up as Robin. So.
All right. Staying on Batman v Superman, we got a couple new images that came out. A crisp one of Batman by a Signal, looking very Batman, looks great. Superman, I don't know if it was just my monitor at the time, looking like Henry Cavill's face on an action figure. Like he just looks so like
skinny
and plasticky. Like that suit looks odd. Again,
and the setting looks odd. It looks like an old. It looks like Arkham.
Yeah. which maybe it could be.
Looks like
Arkham. Learn more about the Batman.
It looks like Arkham.
And then I guess the cream of the crop,
the one that broke the internet today. Yeah,
Lex Luthor. Still with his bad wig, being the hippest, coolest CEO with his crazy neon graphic strip club logo behind him on a basketball court, but he doesn't care. He's just chilling. He's a man of the people.
Wearing the King Kong shirt.
Yeah.
Because he's laid back.
On his
with a blazer on.
With his chucks.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, that character is getting trashed, but I'm interested.
They're modernizing
I'm interested.
The billionaire. That's what they're doing.
We already know that he can play that character. He had a whole movie about it.
Sure, absolutely.
So, why not?
Is this who owns the Mavericks? Mark Cuban.
Mark
Cuban. Is this that type of? I don't know where I'm pulling these names from. Is this like that type of CEO? The laid back board shorts.
Well, this is the Mark Zuckerberg. This is exactly what. The first thing that came to mind was like, yeah, he's doing Mark Zuckerberg
again, who was just Jesse Eisenberg. So
that's right.
Just with a good script.
Again, more. I think this movie doesn't come out until 2016
March.
So March. So
8 months.
I guess we're getting closer and closer, but there's a lot of stuff out there already. A lot of the same, I guess. Yeah, a lot of the same stuff, though. I mean, we already seen the bat suit, we already seen the mechanical suit, but now they're, before they showed it from us from above, and then they showed us a picture from, straight on. Now they're showing us a picture from the bottom up. They're showing us the same damn thing again and again and again. So the only new thing was this Lex Luthor deal. Interesting.
I think I've seen enough.
I agree.
I'm good.
Agree.
And unfortunately, just by the nature of the show, we'll bring it up again if something new, really big breaks. But I'd be okay riding this wave of media and trailers and momentum and how much we already know and crazy.
When do you guys think we'll see the next trailer? Because there will be a next trailer.
Winter.
What's Warner Brothers?
Star Wars.
Winter.
I think we already called it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Warner Brothers is. I don't know what their schedule is.
I don't know what their schedule looks like off the top of my head either.
Winter. It's going to be winter.
Winter?
It doesn't necessarily have to be one of their own movies.
Yeah. How about this crazy, and I know we hate talking rumors, but something that ignited my my imagination, and I'll share it with you guys. There's other podcast that I listened to called IndieCast, and it was run by these people that used to run the website, the Raider.net. How, Star Wars had the Force.net. The Indiana Jones people have the Raider.net. It's still a website, but it's
sad group of guys.
Yeah, but it's
ladies.
It's still a website. It's mostly run out of Facebook and blogs now, and Twitter. And this week's episode, they said that some Disney person with some kind of credibility said that Star Wars is not selling the exactly what you just brought up with, you can attach a trailer to play with your movie. Mm-hmm. Star Wars is not selling that. That they already know what's on it. Which, you give that to Indiana Jones people. Wouldn't it be freaking ridiculous if the teaser for a next Indiana Jones movie, it's attached to that movie? That's what you open the movie with. That would be crazy.
I think it'll be Civil War.
I think it'll be Civil War. Yes, that'd be crazy. Yes, that'd be amazing. But I mean,
they do combos often. As having worked in projection, combos come together very often, especially with Disney. Disney is notorious for combos.
Yeah. And I would love nothing more to see that trailer, sight unseen, unknown, for the first time. But here we are doing a show about tweets and Instagrams and everything in the world. There is no way they're going to film a trailer and show it to an audience.
You don't have to. You don't have to. All you have to show is
just a shadow and a hat
and just a whip, and then just play the first.
But that's been done before,
And they can do it again.
But I think
that will drive people crazy.
There's also Rogue One.
Yeah.
Which would be definitely.
You think they'll
right?
put Rogue One in front of?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's like Pixar. They always have a teaser for their next Pixar movie.
See, we talked about maybe being Civil War, but the rumor with strong Disney exec words is Lucasfilm. I guess I didn't put it. Lucasfilm is not selling that spot.
Well,
so that means no Pixar to me. That means no Marvel. That means no Disney. That means a Lucasfilm movie.
Lucasfilm is done by Disney. Like, aren't we just splitting hairs here?
Rogue One.
I hope it's Indiana Jones.
/ Rogue One.
I'm going on record right now, and I really, really hope that it's Indiana Jones.
There's no way they could keep that a secret. No way.
I would love for them to, but I don't.
It would be amazing.
Unless J.J. Abrams is leaving Star Wars in order to direct Indiana Jones.
Mind blown. Yes, that would be so ridiculous.
Breaking news, not on the agenda. Chris Pine finally gets his DC movie.
Is that confirmed?
According to The Wrap and Screen
I heard
Rant,
about that, yeah.
I mean, this has been in works forever. One popular theory was Green Lantern. We're going the other direction. He is going to play Steve Trevor, who is Wonder Woman's human love interest, who's kind of a government liaison or soldier, depending on which.
He's their Agent
version.
Coulson.
Yeah,
He's their Agent Coulson.
Okay.
So,
interesting. What's more interesting is that the rumor and the storyline that we're breaking. I guess it's a multi-movie deal. So
sure, we need another character in Batman v Superman.
That's right.
We've been talking all the time about how that film needs more characters.
That's right.
And then he'll, in theory, play a prominent role in Wonder Woman. But I mean, this kind of like, and Steve Trevor is not necessarily always Wonder Woman's mate.
Love interest, yeah.
So that doesn't preclude. But
He's probably going to have to try really hard to get her attention, though.
But
because she's Wonder Woman.
He's the glue that makes Justice League of America the government ties is with him.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I think that's the angle that they're probably gonna throw.
Maybe, and this almost like another thing that I don't think we've commented on, but like Tyrese Gibson is screaming that he would be a great Green Lantern to every outlet and tweet and like media that would pick it up. So I mean, like maybe we will see Jon Stewart Green Lantern.
Hey, it worked with Gambit and Channing Tatum, right?
Yeah. He also owns a production company that's doing it. So, and he hoard himself with Magic Mike to get funds for that movie. So it's crazy.
Well, that's less money out of Fox's pocket.
That's right. Which is the Fox's doesn't have that big pockets anymore, man.
Television news. Summer television's kind of light. So Netflix news. Netflix had a big summit, talked about a lot of projects. Yeah. They're still excited about Adam Sandler despite Pixels, which I read an article, like some reporter was like, "Oh, are you upset about your deal with Adam Sandler, Pixel bombing?" What a dick to ask that question. Netflix representatives responded very classy and very upbeat, saying that Adam Sandler is still a great asset. He's had a lot of great movies. That Pixels might not be doing well domestically, but is doing great overseas, and we'll continue to see returns.
That's great.
But I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like, yes, you're a reporter, but I mean, you don't have to be a shithead about it. Like, you don't have to be like, "Oh man, are you really pissed at Adam Sandler?" Because they're not going to say like anything real.
Yeah. We already gave him a 5-movie deal or something, so
they could just say it doesn't matter whether our shows and movies make any money or not because you are already paying for it.
That's a good point. Wow.
But yeah.
The other, I guess, set of news with Netflix is they're bringing more original programming, and
I can't wait until they start having movies come out. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, like I'm really excited for that.
Yes, but the showrunners for the Marvel Netflix universe, where they're talking about Jessica Jones, or AKA Jessica Jones, and sets up the storyline. This was rumored of how they were going to play it out, but this time around they talk about the origin. So the origin is that Jessica Jones is a failed superhero, which goes close to the Alias storyline of the comic books. She was a failed superhero after the Avengers New York episode, but she fails at it. So she then, I guess, retires herself as a superhero and joins the police as a detective. So that's, I guess, the setup of that.
Is Daredevil?
Sorry, go on.
I didn't watch much of Daredevil. Is he like Batman, where he's kind of a vigilante and the cops are after him?
Yes.
Okay, so that could be a
but
good
he
tie-in.
has some
there,
allies in the just like Gordon,
which is
he has
how
allies.
We'll meet Jessica Jones.
Yeah, and then the other thing.
I'm sorry, not to pick on you. Did they say that she's in the police, or was that your interpretation?
No, she is going to be a detective.
Because she's normally a private eye. So, for her to be like a police detective is kind of a new.
They didn't say she was part of the NYPD, but they say that she will be a detective.
Okay.
But there's a picture out there. Yeah, there's a picture out there with a badge. Or my assumption is because there's a picture of her with a badge. So, I guess they did set up the tone that this will be Hell's Kitchen again. She lives in the same neighborhood that Daredevil lives. So I'm sure we'll run into some of the characters, some of the locations. The other interesting part of this is that they're going to take more liberties with Jessica Jones than they did with Daredevil. So expect a lot of things that don't have any source material. The other set of news on that is that the Daredevil showrunner also talked. He was also at that same conference, and one of the things that I think one of the reporters said, can you give us, why the Rosario Dawson character wasn't there for more episodes, and why didn't you guys just call her, the same, the same name as the night nurse, which it failed me what her name was, but
I don't know her civilian name.
Their night nurse, it's basically a nurse that ails all the Avengers at night.
Rosario Dawson's character is heavily inspired by Night Nurse to the point where everybody just referred to her as that.
They changed her name. They changed her name in it, and the showrunner this time around just came out and defended it or explained why, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe already reserved that name because they will be using that character in the cinematic universe. So that's why I guess the Rosario Dawson character had to be changed a bit. But then what you said, Drew, with you can't wait for the movies, they did say, we have an established TV series, 13-episode series, which they confirmed that for Jessica Jones. We have an established schedule for a 13-episode series leading up to the Defenders, but we would love to expand it more with possible feature films. So they said that on their conference. So
I wasn't necessarily speaking about Marvel, but yeah, that's cool too.
I think that would be the first medium for them.
Original films in general.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. So of everything coming out from Marvel, Doctor Strange, if Night Nurse is already plugged into the current Marvel Cinematic Universe, Doctor Strange has ties to Night Nurse as well.
Okay.
So that would make the most sense. And there's buzz of Rachel McAdams joining Doctor Strange. And I'm not super familiar with Doctor Strange's supporting cast. But I mean, that would be, like a potential female lead and female love interest. So that would work out. Then you have a doctor and a nurse. So, or they could do an original character, or maybe Stephen Strange does have somebody who he normally hooks up with that I'm escaping.
It's interesting nonetheless. I mean, it'll be pretty interesting.
It's weird that there's so little communication, or that the Daredevil script runners they really wanted to write Night Nurse, but then at the last second they were told they couldn't. But they were like, "Well, we're keeping the character, and we're just going to rename her, and she's basically going to do all the same stuff that character does, but it's just not without that moniker."
Yeah.
So
I think this with the TV series being developed as quick as they're being developed, that has to do a lot with it. I think.
Sure.
With Kevin Feige not being directly plugged into this, he is not he's not in this universe. So
I heard from the internet, not from my great and many friends in Hollywood, that Feige was upset with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 using the Inhumans.
Yes.
Because he was like, I got a 2020 movie. What are you guys doing? Playing in my backyard and setting up. We're supposed to be connected, but now I'm just going to ignore all the shit you did, so it's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
So
Netflix is not going wrong, and I'm, whatever little they set up or revealed with Jessica Jones, oh man, I cannot wait. They said December, 13 episode series hitting Netflix in December. So that's the next release.
Nice.
Yeah.
will you watch Daredevil before you watch Jessica Jones again?
No.
Or for the first time?
No.
I definitely will have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all talk about how great Daredevil was as a 13 episodes. Solid 13 episode series. Solid, probably the best superhero TV series that's been developed. But I have not seen The Flash.
Yeah.
I know where you were going. I have not seen The Flash. So.
Perfect.
I want to say what excited me most about this Netflix conference was the mention that the Olsen twins could still be in for Fuller House. They confirmed they definitely won't be regular cast members, but
there's opportunities for cameos.
There's opportunities for cameos.
Which would that excites you, Drew?
I'm not excited about the show without them, to be honest. Like, even if they were in it for 5 seconds, that would just do it for me.
That's such non-news. Like, we're still... Fuller House wants the Olsen twins in this.
Yes, they need the Olsen twins.
They don't need the Olsen twins in this.
At least one of them.
They just need one of them.
Right? The non-druggy one.
Yeah. I think we'll see them. Girl Meets World was another, TV series where, it was, I guess... It was born because of the success of Boy Meets World. Mm-hmm. 12 years later, since we lost all those characters, they revived them. They only confirm we're bringing, the Corey character, the Topanga character, and that's it. Everybody else is new. But so far, they're in the middle of season 2 now, and they brought back everybody already. But they haven't been recurring casts. They've just been... odds, like here, this episode you're getting this one character you liked, this other like that's what they've been doing. They've been doing it very well. I just recently watched the latest episode and it was cool. The cameo of the guy who they brought back Mr. Turner. That was pretty cool.
I also don't know if this was new news, but I read for the first time today that they're filming Fuller House in like the classic sitcom multi-camera style.
Multi-camera in front of a live audience.
Yes. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting that Netflix would do that.
I wonder how it's going to feel.
It'll be weird, with today's television and all of Netflix's other shows, but...
I can't believe you didn't bring this up. Arrested Development, Season 5, is still in development. It is not dead.
Arrested Development.
So they... out of this Netflix conference, they said it, we're still working on bringing you season 5 of Arrested Development.
I mean, if they want it to be better than 4, they need to get everyone together. They need to not do it the same way they did season 4,
which was just in pieces.
Right. Well, I mean, they filmed separately. Everything, they were a lot of stand-ins whenever people would interact.
Oh no!
So, and I think they pulled it off technically. There was no issue, but there was the chemistry was missing, obviously, of them being together. So
fair enough.
New trailers this week: Spectre, James Bond, latest outing. Drew, what are your thoughts on this?
I was really excited by the trailer, but there's nothing exciting necessarily happens in it, and you get to see a little bit more of Blofeld. Is that his name, or is that the name everyone wants him to be, and it's not him, or whatever?
I don't know. Christoph Waltz character, and then we get to see more of John Batista's character of Jinx, Mr. Jinx, or the Jinx.
Yeah.
So that's really it. We get to see more love interest, a possible love interest / associate maybe for James Bond.
I think he just fucks
family member,
or
maybe even Christoph Waltz's family member. But this really has nothing to do with trailers. Just speculation.
As a trailer for a movie that I'm very excited to see, this trailer was just another trailer out there.
For me, I didn't need it.
Yeah,
I know how Chris feels about Skyfall, but this is just more beautiful James Bond to me, and that's all I want to see. I don't care if it sucks. Not that I thought Skyfall sucked. I love Skyfall. But, no.
I hate Skyfall. It's terrible. It's a boring, slow movie that ends like 45 minutes later than it should have.
Did you go see it in the movie theater?
It doesn't. That shouldn't matter. But no,
did you?
No.
I think that has a lot to do with it. That movie was a spectacle of visuals, spectacle of sound. That's one of those movies that when I started feeling like, oh man, what? I'm so glad I watched it in the movie theater.
Fire Colin Trevorrow and have Sam Mendes do Star Wars Episode 9. I mean, I know Trevorrow's only rumored, but because I don't want him to do it, bring in Sam Mendes. Fuck it.
The Spectre trailer, as it stands on its own, the second trailer, I enjoyed more than the first trailer. I thought it was a good trailer. It got me more excited for the movie, ironically.
It doesn't give stuff away. It's very...
Yeah, very nothing
safe.
new. Like
very safe.
Exactly. Very safe. Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
It showed new scenes.
Yeah, new scenes, but... And maybe a little bit more plot, but like it's not... It doesn't feel like a spoiler trailer, although there's no way I could know, you know.
But as someone who hated Skyfall, I feel like I saw what I didn't like about Skyfall still in this. Like a lot of like... slow, weird, meandering, sitting down.
That's a James Bond movie, though.
I don't know. I didn't feel like, even if it is slow, like I didn't feel the energy. Like I didn't like when I watched Casino Royale, I wasn't like bored. Yeah, but I was bored watching Skyfall.
Casino Royale has a lot of nothing in it. I love Casino Royale, but there is a lot of just talking.
Casino Royale is still my favorite over Skyfall. Myself, not the Daniel Craig's, or even of any James Bond. I think Casino Royale is my favorite. Like that's a movie that I can still watch and rewatch. Quantum of Solace, I think I've seen it twice.
Skyfall, I feel like,
and Skyfall I've seen more than once now.
I like Skyfall more overall, but Casino Royale is one that I can rewatch. Sit down. You know, I'll come in the middle of the movie and just watch it and be
high rewatch value,
completely entertained. Skyfall, it takes a little more energy to watch.
Yeah, I think the fact that Skyfall is Drew's favorite James Bond movie makes perfect sense because Skyfall is artsy and depressing and meaningless. And those are some of Drew's favorite movies. Like he likes those slow paced, like
no. So
I love slow movies.
You know, I'm sure we will do an episode on Spectre.
Sure.
And I really hope all of us get to see it in the movie theater, which I think unless we become Hollywood crazy important people, we're not going to get to see it at home.
Everybody's going to see. We'll have an episode of Spectre. 3 of the 4 of us will see it in theaters. But I'll happily moderate that discussion.
I'll get you in for free, Chris.
We will make sure to get you in there.
Anything that we've been watching that we want to call out? I got nothing besides last week. I'm just continuing on with series that I've been watching previously. Nothing really new to like.
Nothing to highlight other than I don't think any of us are hooked on this Sharknado craze that that was the big deal. I have not seen any of them. I kind of want to though because it's such a big deal. Then it seems like it's ridiculous. So last weekend they premiered the next sci-fi crazy movie called Lavalantula. This is where volcanoes start exploding all throughout LA, and out of the volcanoes come out spiders that spew lava and just like disintegrate people pretty much. The reason I watched this movie is because of the characters the cast. Steve Guttenberg, Michael Winslow from Police Academy.
Both of them from
Police Academy, including I can't remember the lady.
Michael Winslow's the guy who does all the voices. If you don't know.
Yeah, and then so they brought 3 original Police Academy characters.
Were they cops?
Reunited them. No, they were not. I did not catch the whole entire movie, so this is going by the conclusion of the movie. I was very bothered by how many commercials there were. Like this movie, I think I watched maybe the last 20 minutes of the movie, but it took an hour because 40 minutes were really commercials, really crappy long commercials. But as a whole, this movie is just ridiculous. It concludes very quickly. The special effects looks like they were drawn up on like the cheapest special effects machine ever made.
It's a sci-fi movie.
I expected better.
He means Sci-Fi Channel. Sci-Fi.
Yeah, SYFY.
I expected better, but I think I'll give it a full try to see the whole entire movie.
Are you more or less excited to watch Sharknado after watching an hour of Lava Angela?
If I can get a copy of these movies without commercials, I think I'll be into it.
Okay.
Or it'll be entertaining.
They're on Netflix, right?
I honestly don't know.
At least one of them is.
I hope, like I said, if I can watch
this,
Sharknado
Sharknado 2 if I haven't seen the first one now. I'm very concerned about continuity.
Apparently not. There's a lot of the characters that pass on, but
Sharknado. If you really care about Sharknado, spoiler: George R.R. Martin's in Sharknado 3,
and he gets eaten. I think that was the whole premise of 3 is they got a bunch of celebrities. And that's all they do. Like, celebrities are there for 3 seconds, they get eaten.
Yeah.
Here's another celebrity, gets eaten. I have not seen Sharknado 3, but this is the reason why I want to see it. It was shot in Universal Studios Florida theme park. And there's one scene that I have heard about. I'm not sure if it made it to the movie. But there's this one scene that in my brain just plays out like amazing. Which is, they get on the Rip Ride Rocket roller coaster at Universal Studios with chainsaws to try to attack the Sharknado. So,
what song do they choose?
Ooh!
So if they made that scene, but that movie would be worth it for me. So,
Drew, have you seen anything that you want to call out?
I'm gonna call it something a little strange. Not necessarily strange.
Not you, Drew.
But I have definitely been lacking on TV and movie watching.
Yeah.
But I am at work. Sorry for any workers listening. No, I have been watching short videos on YouTube. A YouTube series called The Gaming Historian. And maybe this is the wrong podcast to bring it up, but I thought this was interesting. Today I watched an episode about something I had never heard of. How Nintendo was sued by Universal Studios in the early 80s over Donkey Kong because they felt that they were infringing on copyright of King Kong with Donkey Kong. And long story short, it turned out that Universal didn't even own the rights to King Kong when they took him to court, and that upset the judge, and he made them pay royalties to Nintendo for having to come to court.
Oh, so dang.
And this helped solidify Nintendo as a company. You know, this was like 82, so they just had arcade machines and stuff. So this really helped them get big. People saw, they can hold their own against Universal Studios, which is one of the largest companies in the world.
And now they're playing in the same backyard.
And now this video was made before this whole deal was announced. But now I'm thinking that's kind of ironic that Universal Studios is the one that Nintendo
they're still
teamed
paying
up with
Nintendo,
for their
man.
amusement parks.
They're still paying Nintendo.
I'm gonna maybe potentially prove how stupid I am. Are there any gorillas referred to as Kongs in any form or fashion outside of King Kong? Is that a scientific or breed or
apparently
genus or anything?
In this video I watched, they said Shigeru Miyamoto testified in court that King Kong they originally referred to Donkey Kong as King Kong when they were developing the game, because in Japan that just means fierce gorilla or fierce monkey, I don't know, probably gorilla, fierce gorilla, something like that.
Okay. So if not, Donkey Kong is a fucking ripoff of King Kong. It's at least that Kong.
Just put a tie on him. I mean, I never even thought of comparing the two, to be honest. Because, as long as I've been alive, they've both been staples of their own,
Sure. All right. Topic of the week. Kind of a different one, but still timeless. As much as a documentary about a movie that never got made from the 90s can be timeless. Death of Superman Lives.
What happened?
What happened? Yeah, that's the full title. You can't really spoil this, but just without doing our deep dive, would you recommend this to somebody, or what were your just general thoughts on this, Drew?
I I don't want to say loved it because it's a documentary.
You can love a documentary.
But yeah, I never have. So and nothing against documentaries. I watch them every now and then. But I was pleasantly surprised by this. Not necessarily the quality of the documentary or anything, but the just because even though I thought I knew about what this movie was going to be about, I didn't really, and it kind of blew my mind. And I definitely would recommend it to anyone interested in the topic.
Fans of the genre will like this genre.
So the way I put it, this is a piece of geek history that if you have any kind of interest on any of this, there's not that many documentaries made about that genre and what happened in the 90s. With the genre was dead. There was nothing good coming out of the 90s for superheroes. So this kind of encapsulates the end of that crappy, superheroes don't work kind of thing. And this is kind of gives you a look of why some of the superhero things weren't working. And it's basically, so as I see it, this is a great piece of geek history. You can, if you follow me on Twitter, you can see that my tweet to John Schnepp, the creator of the documentarian, was favorited and retweeted by him and liked by many other fellow geeks. So I think that's the best way to put it. It felt to me like a very, like History Channel kind of, here's an hour about what happened to this thing.
Yeah, and this is going
that
back
was a
to
great take of it.
The gaming historian videos I watched is very similar. This is like history you won't learn in school, and it's very interesting.
But it's so interesting, right? This is
people who care
history.
about it, researching it and presenting it.
It's very
maybe
well
it's
done.
A little biased, which I know.
So I guess to answer Chris's initial question, what I'd recommend it, absolutely. This by far, the only way to get it right now, it's directly through the, I guess the company who produced it or made it. So you just go, The Death of Superman Lives, what happened, and I think the website is thedeathofsupermanlives.com. And you go over there. There's 3 types of ways that you can purchase the movie, or 5 types of ways that you can purchase the movie. There's 3 digital packages, 2 hard packages. The digital packages gives you just more bonus features. I purchased the $20 version, which gave me the full length of the movie plus 7 hours of additional footage. The only thing I wanted was the additional Kevin Smith interview, the full length Kevin Smith interview. So $20 got me that. You could buy the hard disk DVD for $19.99 or $29.99 for the Blu-ray. But it's all 100% going to the filmmaker. So that's why I didn't even hesitate on buying this.
Yeah, I mean, the filmmaker, the documentarian, does a good job. I don't know. Let me phrase that. He does a good job during the interviews of not inserting a lot of his personality. I don't know exactly how that's cut and edited, but for the most part, it is the people he's talking to speaking 95% of the time. I don't know what questions he asked.
He kept his opinion mostly out of the movie.
I think that comes into editing.
In the editing, exactly. The editing. That's what I'm saying. He kept his opinion. There were so many spots in this documentary where he could have just said, and that guy is a complete douchebag. Bam. But he doesn't say it. Very polite.
He lets you.
Exactly.
But I think but he paints the dots. I don't recommend this to everybody. This is not oh man, this is a great documentary. You're going to learn so much. This is definitely, if you want to know more. If you are a film nerd and want to see kind of behind the scenes how people talk about films a little bit more, check this out. But you probably have seen lots of behind the scene commentaries and whatnots anyway. Or if you are a Superman or a Tim Burton or Kevin Smith fan,
or a Nicolas Cage,
maybe so this is for niche audiences. Like I said, as a documentary, I don't think that no documentarian presents unbiased news facts. These aren't set pieces for you to make your own conclusions. There are clear dotted lines of who the good guys are and who the bad guys are when you watch this film.
Yeah.
I think that they spend a little bit too much time in the weeds sometimes. Maybe some of the set pieces and costumes and kind of just some of the stuff they talked about, maybe they could have bumped some of that stuff to the extra features. Because I just wanted, because like for me, you know, my take, I wanted to just know more about what happened on the movie and not necessarily every single nut and bolt of what this movie could have been.
Yeah.
So like more of like the opening segments and some of the ending segments. And my overall take was I watched it, I was entertained, but for better or worse, I would almost recommend An Evening with Kevin Smith 2 and just hear Kevin Smith talk about this for 45 minutes as opposed to watching this documentary.
Fair enough.
And all the Kevin Smith set pieces when he was talking felt like he was quoting himself talking about, so his story is consistent. I don't know if he watched himself beforehand, but it felt like he was like re-quoting himself from that interview stand-up that he did a while ago when he talked about it.
So I guess let's go into full spoilers. Not that, like I said, it's difficult to spoil something like this, but let's go into full detail. What was your favorite part, Drew, of this whole thing?
I actually liked what Chris hated.
Yes.
Just seeing everything that went into almost the making of this movie. And I mean, that's what was most interesting to me. And I feel, and as a movie nerd and at one point in my life an aspiring filmmaker, it's weird to say that because I never put any work into it. It was all fantasy, but you know, like it was very interesting to me, and I feel like I always skip out on buying like special edition DVDs and Blu-rays because I never watch the special features. But I feel like I should, because I always enjoy when I do.
Yeah. And
that's kind of what this is if you bought this movie, this would be the special features basically.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, so, and I loved it, and what this movie did for me, it made me want to see this movie.
Yes.
I want to see it. And I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan, and I'm definitely not
John Peters, Kevin Smith.
Well, no, I don't even know where I was going with that. Just not a Tim. Not a huge, I like Tim Burton's movies, not all of them, and some of them I really don't like. But
the conclusion, I drew the same conclusion. Like this movie could have worked because of the people that were behind it.
What I want to come of this movie is that someone will make this movie.
Is it the movie or the storyline?
I see it being animated.
I would want to see.
I would
this
love to see an
storyline.
animated version of this movie.
Yeah,
It's funny you say that.
that storyline that's animated already, right? With Doomsday.
So yes and no. So while I was watching this, I did like have so many moments like, oh my gosh, because one thing they talked about was a potential plot line, and that's another thing that's hard to talk about this movie is because like this movie had so many directions at one point or another, and like you see them have like 50 different sketches of Doomsday. Doomsday's already fucking sketched. I don't know why you had to waste your time doing that. If you're gonna do that, just call him a different character at that point. But one thing they talked about was Brainiac and Lex Luthor potentially like merging in this weird body form. That happened in Justice League the animated series. Another thing they talked about was Superman having kind of a sidekick that helps him regenerate and have a shrine. If you watch Superman Doomsday, he has a robot sidekick and he generates in his shrine. So like I don't know, like
all of those came though after this movie was getting made, and then you know like we see even in Superman Returns like heavily drew from some of the plot lines of where this movie was going to go.
Which, again, like we talked about before about the Jason Todd, do people come to the same conclusions, or is there a seed of thought that then just gets kind of circled and regurgitated constantly?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we end up in these spots. Because, I mean, you know, Lex Luthor and Brainiac are Superman's two biggest villains. Having them combined is not the craziest, like, oh my gosh, thing the comics have ever done. But, you know, did they kind of borrow it because it was on the table at some point for Superman Lives in this capacity? And that was kind of, as odd as that sounds, like seeing some of those seeds be able to come into fruition at one point or another was kind of my one of my favorite parts about it.
I drew two conclusions out of this movie. One, I hate John Peters. I did not know who the guy was, but I remember Kevin Smith talking about it on An Evening with Kevin Smith about how this guy was just nuts.
I wouldn't necessarily say that I hate him.
I don't hate him personally, but I hate anything that his ideas. He's nuts,
and that
I hate how much power he has, basically, because he's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
and that's when I say like John Schnapp. who made this movie, man, when he edits this, like, that is the clear conclusion that he wants everybody to watch this movie to make.
Yeah. This is
John Peters bad. Tim Burton, the greatest, lovingest, most amazing, super special director who Hollywood and nobody understands, and he's just a poor little child that had a complicated life, but we should all worship him in all his great movies, and he's the best director that ever existed.
Did you see the?
He did. He even has fucking Tim Burton hair throughout half the movie.
Did you see the scene? Where they actually included the recording of John Peters answering the phone?
No, I
that was something that
I did. I think a little bit.
It would go along with what you're trying to say because it really had nothing to do with the movie. It definitely should have been cut out. Like, I could see it being an extra feature, but the only reason for them to put it in the movie is to show like how fucking nuts this guy is and
how much of an
asshole he is. So because he just interrupts his interview to talk on the phone to someone who's trying to set something up for him, just trying to paint the picture of his busy producer,
And he's like,
really important.
Business goes on. It's old news.
I want to see a documentary about John Peters. I think that would be awesome.
It'll be mainly about hairdressing,
or even not necessarily a documentary, just a biographical film.
But he has great hair. Even it's funny that maybe he thinks he's untouchable. But for John Peters, like, if he is as powerful and strong, for him to, like, let himself be painted in such a bad light. Like, maybe he didn't think about it.
He was wearing Adidas workout pants. Like, that's what he was wearing. Some shirt in his house looked fucking nuts. Like, there was old stuff, new stuff, there was movie stuff. Like, it looked weird.
I want to know how many people there are like him in Hollywood.
All of them.
Sure, all of them. That's
I want to meet a bunch of producers and just talk to them.
If anything, like, this made me even more like, it's Holly weird, man. It's ridiculous. The more of these
like
characters.
Out of touch. How out of touch they are. He seemed very much out of touch with reality,
What was your second conclusion?
The second conclusion is I did not realize how much of this movie was ready. I mean, when they pulled the plug on this movie, they had special effects already looking freaking good. The flying, they had the flying down. They had the suit. The suit is the highlight for me. Just visually looked different. The takes that they were going with it. Nicolas Cage was ready to play the character. The director already had it. They were on the third rewrite of the script. They knew where they were going to go with this movie. This movie was ready. Exactly how they say it in the documentary. They were going to start shooting that movie in the next couple of years.
You think this whole mishap is what made Nicolas Cage go crazy? Before he was notorious for being just so terrible, and taking all these jobs and being in debt and all this stuff,
I'm sure it doesn't.
I'm not being serious, by the way.
I'm sure it doesn't help anybody's ego that you have Superman and you're the guy who
and he's
failed.
a huge Superman fan.
Yeah, you're the guy who failed at playing Superman because
he didn't fail at playing Superman. He never got a chance.
I guess that's the.
Yeah, but someone with low self-esteem would think that. His name wasn't big enough because one thing they point out in the movie is how many flops Warner Brothers was having around that time, which made them afraid to invest in this movie. So maybe Nicolas Cage was a little upset that he wasn't big enough for them to have faith in him or whatever.
And that's exactly the way it played out to me. That they didn't have enough faith in Tim Burton. They didn't have enough faith on Nick Cage. But if the face of this movie is this John Peters guy, I'm an exec at Warner Brothers. Yeah, I'm afraid. Touch it. Tim Burton says himself like he was afraid to touch it because of him.
What year was this going to come out?
This was going to be a 2000 release.
Oh, 2000.
Yeah. So the movie was going to getting made in 98. And then supposed to release July 4th, 2000.
Superman for the new century.
July 4th, 2000, I think, was the release date that they were talking about.
I love hearing the little bits about Bryan Singer carrying around the picture of Nicolas Cage.
Oh, my God, that was great.
When he was filming Superman Returns.
But then at the end, and I feel like the way John framed it, the director, he was like, yeah, but I'm doing the reverse. Like,
exactly,
I showed the pictures of how great this could have been. So even then, like, in Superman Returns is an easy movie for everybody to hate. Even then, like, I feel like, once again, John's painting with his brush of commentary of, like, Bryan Singer's also kind of a dick.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was, like, kind of the whole point of the anecdote. So...
I cannot say enough good things about this. a great piece of geek history. That's the best way to put it for me.
Going back to how I want to see this animated, like the way I picture it in my mind is like a Ralph Bakshi animation, you know, like Last Unicorn, Fire and Ice, I think, and like the Lord of the Rings animated movies.
Okay.
Like,
it's still alive.
Like, I want to see some. I don't know if it is,
that style,
just that style. You know,
Yeah.
like I would love to see Superman Lives in that.
voiced
style.
by Nicolas Cage.
Sure.
No, like if I'm making anything related to this, I'm bringing Nicolas Cage, and I don't know. So I don't know if you guys got this. The last thing that we hear in the documentary is Nicolas Cage talking about what it could have been.
Yeah.
It doesn't really specify if that was actually Nicolas Cage now, like, or it was some revised footage.
Right. I assumed it was from that same interview
With,
where
like-
he was promoting Ghost Rider.
With-
But yeah, they never showed him talking. You just hear his voice, so you don't know for sure where it's
So I kind of wish, man. I would love to hear what he has to say.
I'm sure he asked.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
I'm sure.
Director,
Yeah,
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure John asked everybody who we could to get involved. And I was surprised he had so many people.
He got
like,
Tim Burton. He got every single one of the writers.
Tim Burton was like so shy that he would never want to do this. Like I was surprised
Yes.
he was in it.
He was very open about it.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part.
Yeah. And he wasn't being super weird. He seemed fairly normal to me in the interview.
Normal Tim Burton.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I saw it.
It's and I know you're a huge Kevin Smith fan, and I think Kevin Smith has done great writing, and he's done great comic books. His Green Arrow revival, especially, was really good. It's funny because he even admits that he wrote it as comic book fan fiction, and like when he talks about like Batman taking over the screens, and I'm kind of like, I wonder if a 26-year-old Kevin Smith actually did write a good script, or if it was kind of like, because I'm thinking of like Kevin Smith who I know now, like, oh my god, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like the guy who kind of in this Chasing Amy era, would he have written a really good? He's like, oh, I put Deadshot in there, and I was like, why the fuck is like so many random characters
Yeah,
and
I'm wondering
homages?
like if he had the same feelings about it when he was writing it as he seems to have talking about it.
But here's the
I don't
thing.
know if it would have had any
Back then, I mean,
his heart in it.
he definitely.
He had his heart into it.
Yeah, he definitely had the opportunity to be original and do something with the superhero genre
This
that
is-
had
yeah,
not
this
been
is
done.
before
This is
the
before
superhero
Avengers,
films, you know.
before Spider-Man. You know, alongside when he
X-Men would have been
You know,
being
no.
developed at this time.
X-Men
You know.
and Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, he would have been
Well, that was
in
a
the
little
works.
later, but yeah, it was that
It would have been in
right?
the works at Sony,
Yeah.
and then X-Men at Fox. Like alongside those projects, that was the thing. So the scripts exist somewhere.
Yeah.
I would love to read
Yeah,
the
I've never read a
script.
script, but
I would love to
I wanna
read it.
them.
Yeah, I would love to read that.
A lot of great ideas in it, like kind of echoing my sentiment before, but you know, they don't really like outright say why the movie fell apart. They hint heavily at studio backing out because of financing, because of $200 million budget,
At least.
and just rewrites. And then, but like just watching them talk about it, and maybe this is every movie, so this isn't fair, but just like when you see them have so many different like animations and versions of suits, and like it did feel like for as much stuff as they had, that the movie was still directionless. Like it was still trying to find out exactly what it wanted to be. And I think that was kind of my biggest takeaway, is that yes, this movie was in some sort of development for years, but it kind of was sort of just spinning in its wheels
Yeah.
the entire time.
I agree.
It's my one complaint is that the title is incorrectly titled, because I think you pointed out only the last 15 minutes or so has to do with the death
How
of
it
the
ended.
movie.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie is like an hour.
What
and a half
happened?
Just
What happened?
Like-
The what happened was the first part of the
Yeah.
movie.
it's what happened before the death.
Yeah.
Like they don't go too much into. What
I would
happened.
love, and I hope if anything comes out of this, is that now Warner Brothers. I don't know how successful this thing is. It's going to be, or what it is, but I would love, having been to my first big convention with Star Wars Celebration, and how there's, there was rooms for, like, come look at R2 units, come look at artwork from this. I would love to see, the next San Diego Comic Con, that they have one room. come see what could have been. You know, they would have all the suits, the spaceship, the ideas, the scripts.
Superman Lives Museum. Traveling Superman Lives Museum.
I would pay money to see that, just to see it. It would have been great.
All right, that's what we think of the death of Superman Lives. What happened? Let us know what you think about it, either in the comments section or by hitting us up on Twitter or emailing us. If you want to hear more from us, and you probably do, you can follow Drew on Twitter.
No.
You can also check Drew's other podcast, which is goes through horror movies, called Straight Chilling.
Yes, Straight Chilling Podcast. Look it up on Podomatic, iTunes, even somewhere on Reddit. I don't know exactly where.
If you want to hear more from Guillermo and favorite and retweet, especially if you're a celebrity, his stuff, you can check him out at That Guy Online.
Yep.
I'm Chris. You can follow me at NerdyXP. You can check out my website, nerdyxp.com, for reviews, features about movies, comics, games, all things nerd and geekdom. If you liked this podcast and want to hear more from my voice, check out NerdXP Gamecast, which comes out on Thursdays and focuses on gaming culture. If you liked this episode, please prove it by liking this episode wherever you're watching, on YouTube or podcast services. Leave a review, leave a question, and be part of the conversation. Thank you, Drew.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Guillermo.
You got it.
And thank you out there for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this week's episode and that we were able to help you with your movie IQ. Level up, friends.